Hello, happy Saturday and happy time zones. It is another week with the Shady Pines crew for writing sprints. How,
Sprints.
how are people's doing today?
I just want to point out for Jason Mine's mental health, at least on my YouTubes, there's a 10-second delay. Like when it said 10 seconds remaining when the thing ended over here, the countdown timer ended over here. So there's a delay, like,
Yes.
which also means like there'll probably be a really long like lag when we try to stop.
Yeah. Hey, Spence.
Sprints.
So I will fully admit I am pushing hard this week.
Push it.
Um, to do this stream because
Push it real good.
my body is saying, yeah, no, I'm done. Um, but I promised,
My
and I'm
body's been
here.
saying that for 10 years. So, I'm just going to be.
My body's saying you're done.
Oh, yeah. Like when I was 2 years old, my intestines tried to fall out of my body. So, like it's been a long struggle of my body being like, I'm just done with this. Self evisceration in five, four, three, two. Life's
Probably
fun.
not the best hobby to take up.
Uh, I can honestly say though I've had worse. So is what it is.
Spence is at her sister's babysitting, so her brain is like blowing a raspberry at her. And Charlie can vouch for this. I've been trying to like say things, and I can't like figure out how sentences work or words or anything that I'm trying to remember.
I really want to send you a short story right now for line editing just because I want to see what comes back.
Oh God, you don't want to do
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. So bad. You have no idea. It would be a work of art. Like we could frame it like it's in one of those like art galleries where they have the scrolls all laid out. Like this is a tired mind on edits.
that.
It would be beautiful. Hey, I just got a notification that we're live.
Funny how that works.
I am struggling with internal meitude right now because I got my paper back from the class and I literally wept because of the like good things that it said on there because I was expecting bad things because I am me. And then my brain decided to implode on itself because how dare you feel good about yourself? So, the usual. It's a Saturday, y'all. Party!
I can tell you that I was listening to because you were saying the how dare you feel good right now. And you were telling me earlier about, you know, because all the BS that's going on in the
Mm-hmm.
world, how can you dare to have any happy feelings? And there was a uh, roundtable discussion on NPR. I think it was early this week. I'm not exactly sure, but it was people were calling in about this was about Ukraine stuff, but most of it was people just saying, I feel really bad that, you know, I have small joys in my life with this going on. And it was person after person after person. So it's not just you, it is a widespread thing about people
Yeah.
feeling like they're not allowed to have any happiness.
In some circles, it is referred to as compassion fatigue, where
Hmm.
you feel that you should be. eh, sympathetically experiencing the emotions that other people are going through and feeling guilty for having any of your own. And that could be like if somebody, it can go as far as like somebody's really happy but something bad happened to you and you don't feel that you're entitled to your own sadness. Like it can be the other way around as
Mm.
well. And it's something to be noticed and worked through. You know, my for me, my biggest issue right now is more just this sense of just utter helplessness that is engulfing me because living in a state that is losing its damn mind right now, because of course it is. Like, why wouldn't it? Like, it was as predictable as sunrise. You know, there really is nothing to do because evil people are going to evil, and you just have to do what you always do and live through it. And I don't know. This is one of those times in my life where I'm really feeling my age of like, I have already been through this once. Do I really have to do this again? Like, it's just, I'm really starting to feel that fatigue of like, what, this again?
Yeah, I think those of us who are over 40, really, I think that's like the cutoff where we've been on the front lines with this exact same problem, and we had the 20-year, well, 15-year downtime,
Hmm.
and we're older now, and it's so exhausting for it to pop back up and be like, no, you didn't solve this problem, and it's all here again. And I think we're all just like, just burnt down to nothing.
Yeah. I was talking with a friend of mine about a month ago about all the stuff as it was just starting to happen, and she used this phrase that I thought was just so beautiful. She said, "I feel like I just have wildfires raging in my soul and no access to water."
Uh-huh.
And that to me is just, yes, that is what 2022, 2021, and 2020 have felt like. Like, yes, you
Hmm.
have found the poetic expression of all of this. And yeah,
And it's people, the general public is making me extremely sad in that both so easily swayed and so easily distracted. Like, I feel like I'm the only one that's realizing that no, the last problem did not get fixed. We're Yes, there is a new problem. The last problem's still there. The problem before that's still there.
yeah, the main shift that I've experienced in me is like I used to watch Cody Johnson's Some More News for the funnies, and now I tend to watch it more for catharsis because I feel like I've turned into Cody Johnson's character on that show. Like I'm just, yes, I need to drill a hole in my skull and put a part of my brain in a moose brain and attach it to an Amazon Echo so that maybe we can find solutions to the world. Like, sure, that sounds rational. Let's do this. Like, let's go. I mean, what harm could it do?
But yeah, like, as soon as Ukraine became an issue, it's like, oh, we beat COVID. No,
Yeah,
that's not what
no,
happened.
no, that is very definitely not a thing.
It's just apparently only one crisis is allowed to exist at a time, and everything that's not on the front page no longer exists.
Well, I feel like we need a specific word that we don't have because this is cis white male privilege that you have the ability to only have to focus on one thing at a
Hmm.
time. Like you only have one thing on your plate, whereas for someone like me, like I've got the queer issues, I have the trans issues, I have the just existing in capitalism issues that everybody else has. Just all of that going on, and I have to juggle through all of that. Like there's this weird privilege where no, we can only have one problem at a time, and like okay, sure, can that one problem be either neoliberalism, the rise of fascism, or the fact that we need to fundamentally change our economy so that it works for people now? Like, can we make like one of the like things we could actually make people's lives better for?
Hmm.
Like, if we're
But
only
no, we
allowed to
have.
have one issue,
But the issue has to be sexy candy, right?
we just need to get a bunch of porn stars together. Lance was talking about this on his stream the other day. Like, we just need to get porn stars to unite and just start talking about like the real issues while they're doing the naughties. Because then maybe we could get enough people to pay attention. Just maybe.
But I'd heard this from black people, and I watched it happen. How we had the spring and summer of 2020 with George Floyd and
Yep.
Breonna Taylor and Ahmaud Arbery and everything, and nothing got solved,
No.
and people just swept it under the rug because something else
Well,
popped up.
I mean, which of the Kardashians was it that made that Pepsi commercial and that fixed everything? Because there was that one. Was it Chloe? I think it was Chloe. I want to say it was Chloe. I don't know. They're all Kardashians. I don't know. They're all the same like basic template. But that one Kardashian, she made a Pepsi commercial. It's all better now.
Yeah, no, it doesn't work like that. But it's just the fact that nothing gets fixed, it just gets forgotten,
Yep.
but not forgotten by the people it impacts.
Yep.
And so I'm sitting here with, shelves and shelves of unresolved issues, and nothing's being done. They're just throwing their attention at at the one frivolous thing and another, and it's just uh
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
because there is, you know, a year and a half time since then, they're able to do the oh, that never happened.
Well, see, I feel like this is why, for me personally, this is why I have just jumped headlong back into my spirituality, mysticism, and philosophy. Because, as Joseph Campbell said, the world is a mess. The world will always be a mess, and the only thing that you can count on is that you can work on you.
Hmm.
And it's the one thing that like I don't even want to say it's the one thing that I have control over, because I've got a lot of joint issues and health issues and stuff, so I don't even have control over myself. But it's the one thing that I can actively work towards making change on, and that I have seen over the course of my life actual change in myself into being a better person and being more the person that I want to be, and having that effect on people that I want to see in the world. And I'm not silly enough to think that's enough, you know, that's all that needs to be done. But in the absence of a concrete path forward, it's at least something I can do, And so I find myself going back to school. I find myself doing the studies that I'm doing, writing the stuff that I've been writing lately. It's literally the least I could do, but it's at least something I can do.
Hmm.
And I don't think we should discount that.
True.
because you never know. Like, I know it's kind of a cliche to talk about how much like common sense led to the American Revolution, or something like Uncle Tom's Cabin led to, help people get to a place where abolition was something that they were actively thinking about, or The Jungle getting people to think, well, maybe we shouldn't have child labor, right? It's but it does often take those cultural touchstones to get people to wake up and go, maybe we shouldn't have children losing fingers to machines because they're working in factories. Like, maybe, like, sometimes it takes that cultural shift, and the only way culture actually shifts is if people who create stories and music and art and movies and television are willing to go out there and make that change. It's one of the places where I do have hope, in that when large corporations like Disney, not a good company. I do not like. They're like all companies. They are amoral. All they care about is money. They don't care about you. They don't care about your family. They don't care about anything except for if they're making that money. But when they look at their how they need to make money, and that's, hey, let's do Encanto, which is a story about a family learning how to come together and not overly stress each other out, and actually find this peaceful median way forward. Stories like Turning Red, which are learning, hey, you know what? Maybe the traditional ways that we grew up with are not the right ones.
Hmm.
Maybe they are for you, and maybe that's the thing you need for your life to live your best life. But maybe for me, I need to live a different life. I need to live a life that's my own. The fact that these stories are seen as fiscally viable for a large company like Disney to make this content and put it out into the world, that to me says we're winning. Like, we may not be seeing the manifestation of that winning yet, but they're not going to take the risk. I mean, if you don't believe me, go back and watch Song of the South. That's what they used to think was worth
Hmm.
putting out into the world. I mean, go watch the unedited Peter Pan. Or Dumbo, the original Dumbo. Like, they're just going wherever the money is, and you can see
Hmm.
where they thought that money was, and they were right. And you can see where they think the money is now, and it it is showing that Overton window has shifted. That times are changing, and it's going to be better for us in the future. It's just there's a lag between the cultural shifts, which we have seen, like they're definitely there, and the legal, political, and other shifts that need to take place.
Lots of people need to be shifted away.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of them, do you want today's Kevin Sorboism?
Oh, sure.
Remember when we treated the flu with tea, soup, and saltines instead of communism?
Kevin, you disappoint me so much. Like, I know you're not listening to me right now, but Kevin, sweet, sweet, sweet Kevin. I've met you. I've had several long conversations with you. You are at your heart a very nice, kind person. Put the tea down. Stop drinking the Kool-Aid. Like, you are better than this, Kevin. Like, I don't want to get my mother tone out, but you are better than this, Kevin.
I think the proper thing is you are better than this peanut,
Uh,
because that's what Lucy Lawless calls him. Someone said, Kevin Sorbo, folks. He ain't bright, but he sure is untalented. And someone else said, taking medical advice from Kevin Sorbo is like taking acting lessons from Kevin Sorbo.
which, by the way, I I'm not big on like supporting movies that he's in, but Harvey Firestein's in it too. If you've not seen his what was it, Cull the Conqueror movie, where Harvey Firestein plays a gay pirate, and it's fabulous because of course he does. The sheer volume of overacting in this movie, like, Harvey Firestein knew what this movie was and like gave zero fucks. Like, he just did not care. He was like, paycheck, paycheck. Oh, here we go. Let me help you get your armor on. Like, it's so bad. It's so bad. I highly recommend. 10 out of 10. What the fuck did I just seize? I mean, just mwah, is amazing. And I also think that we need to like just remind Kevin, like, for all your moralizing, you were in a movie with Harvey Firestein as a gay pirate. Tell me about your morals again, Kevin.
Oh. This person replied, Kevin Sorbo is spot on. This is why I only treat my COVID with ivermectin, Campbell's soup, and tea, but not red tea because that's the communist one. I mix my COVID curing tea with my own urine, the way they did it in the old country.
And the sad thing
Hashtag
is,
COVID 19, hashtag do your own research.
and the sad thing is, the modern conservative movement is unparodyable, and I'm just like, that is really really funny if it's parody. Like feel like I have to put on that. I'm hoping that's sarcasm, but given how crazy the world has gotten, yeah, I'm just gonna pretend it's sarcasm. I don't even care. I'm not gonna. I will do no further research. That was sarcasm, and I love it.
I think Marjorie Taylor Greene and Nicole Boebert are parodies of the Republican Party.
Like I had a dream the other night. Like it was a glorious, wonderful dream where we found out that they were literally punking us the whole time. Like that this was a just like it was performance art that went too far, and they like gave a joint speech to Congress where they were like, we're sorry, we thought this was funny, we thought it would highlight the problems that are going on in our country right now, and it did not. Like, and, like it was a weirdly happy dream because again it just seems like parody. It just seems like parody. Like so much of life right now just feels like parody. I finally do understand though that line from Futurama where Bender is like explaining the future and he's just like, comedy, that's so passe. Now tragedy, that's funny. Because yeah, I see how we get to there. Like the prescience of Futurama. Yeah, yeah, I see where how we get to there. Like, yeah. Yeah, because you can't make fun of things because they're just so ridiculous that you just laugh at it. You just this is who
Shall
we are
we?
now.
Shall we sprint?
Yes, because I have some medicine that I should take, but I did not because talking.
Make it bigger. Oh, it wants to
Ooh,
start.
ooh, getting our Zen on. I'm here for that.
Is that the girl from the 23rd century?
I don't even know anymore. I can't tell anymore like what are just affectations that I've stolen from other people and what is like me.
All right, we will sprint in three, two, one, go. All right, that sprint is done. I actually got some stuff done.
I did too, and then I couldn't find the remote to turn off the sound that was in the background, so I could turn my microphone back on. Oh,
Hey, Nikki. How
hi,
are you
Nikki.
today? Um, yeah, I finished the extra scene on chapter 1 that I wanted and jumped back into chapter 11, which is actually arc 2, chapter 1.
I have what feels like the grand Herculean task, given the state of my being right now. I am working on a list of basically meditation prompts for the holidays that are forthcoming. Um, because I need to get this written before the 25th.
What's coming up on the 25th?
The Feast of the Annunciation, or Our Lady's Day.
Oh, don't know about that one. That must be some Catholic stuff.
That is, yes. Yes, very much so. It is the day where we celebrate the Archangel Gabriel coming and announcing the birth of the Lord and Mary's fiat, which
She
is
drove a
so
Fiat?
important. Fiat means willingness, which I've always wondered what that has to do with a car company. I've never had the energy to actually look it up, but the Latin word fiat literally means I am willing. So I don't know what does it say about your car and your relationship with it. I don't know, but I have a long list of prompts that need to get written. So
That's what I thought. That is not what Fiat means in Latin. Um, Took several years of Latin. It means let it be done.
well, yeah. Which again, same with car. Why? Why? Thing I gave up for Lent apparently is I'm trying not to be pedantic about Latin or Hebrew. I did fail once on the Hebrew thing because I got into a fight with somebody about names, but
Oh, it's the Fiat Lux.
uh, my favorite Latin phrases that I used to have printed on everything was "Fiat justia ruat caelorum." Uh, Let there be justice, even if the sky falls. Though the sky falls.
Cool. Mine is Kawikanum.
Beware of dog.
It has two meanings.
Yeah, but that's the
Do you know
point.
the other meaning?
Uh, I know one that I'm not going to say out loud. If you don't know the one that you're talking about. Remember, I went to seminary for a while. A lot of dirty Latin jokes.
This is not a dirty meaning. It is the verb kano is to sing,
Oh yes,
and it's
true.
actually beware lest I sing.
Yeah, I didn't even go there because even in Latin, I try to avoid zombie words.
Zombie words.
When you turn a noun into a verb or a verb into a noun,
Uh,
I'm bad at it, but I do. But I try to avoid.
but yes, I like that one just because of the double meaning.
He's good.
And because that second meaning is like kind of a motto in my life.
I mean, it's very valid. It is very, very valid. Yes,
Be careful, you're gonna make me start singing.
I am trying not to let the cozy make me drift off. I McGonagall has realized that she's kind of a lap cat. Like she's not like a full on lap cat yet, but she's taken to sleeping on my feet, and so I have a very cozy fluff ball nestled between my feet, purring right now. And those purrs are just like reverberating through my entire being, just like, yes, yes, you're right. It is nap time, isn't it? Yes. Listen to the purr. Follow the purr into the darkness. Wait, no, no. Do not follow the purr into the void. Don't follow the purr into the void.
Hey, pretty soon I'll be sleeping on my feet. Oh, God. Okay, I need to make it so that this post does not appear because every time I scroll past it, it makes me very, very sad.
Yeah, I've been kind of avoiding a lot of social media lately just because there have been a lot of injured children pictures,
Mm-hmm.
and I just can't. I just can't. And so my solution has been to just like nope out of the world.
No, this one was about how people are evil, and if you see a bag on the side of or near a dumpster or something, open it up because people are leaving sealed bags of kittens.
Hello, Misha. I'm sorry that you arrived right now.
Hi, Misha. What time zone? I am in Eastern. Ugh. Yeah, sorry for that downer, but I had to make it so it stopped appearing because it was breaking my heart every time I scrolled past it. And for some reason, Facebook, you know, if you see something on Facebook and you want to go back to it after you scroll by it, it's gone forever. But
Unless it's a late answer.
if you don't want to see it, it'll show it to you over and over and over again.
See, my solution to that is I just yeeted my entire existence off of Facebook. Just, like I open it twice a week, once to see if I have a message from Amber for Sunday, and once to see if Meadow is still alive.
Sorry, I just saw a comedy one. I I can never remember who's seen Supernatural and who hasn't. Have you seen it?
Yes.
It's Yo Mama so fat that even Azazel couldn't put her on the ceiling.
Okay, so Misha, the solution to this, I don't know how comfortable you would feel doing this, but there's a wonderful version of Jolene on YouTube called Jolene, but it's gay, where our singing protagonist is trying to talk Jolene into leaving her man for her. That
Oh.
is absolutely so wonderful. Dolly Parton has given it her own seal of approval. Like it's so good that even Dolly was like, "Yes, this should have been the song the whole time. Yes, this that you could just like play back at them." Because
Jolene, 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 Jolene. And then I'll stop.
and see in the revised version, the next line is, "I'm begging for you, please just leave your man." And it is absolutely amazing. It is on a channel that is very amazing. That's basically like this song, but what if it were gay? Like, what would that have looked like? And she's got some wonderful, wonderful videos on there, like some wonderful versions, and her voice. Oh my god, her voice. But yeah,
And Dolly would approve of that.
Oh yeah, that just made my day because as we talk about quite often on this stream, how is it that Dolly has proven to be the bean that we needed her to be for so long?
I don't know. I don't know how some people are so vile and some people are so pure, and there's
Like
just
that,
such a wide uh, difference between the two.
I mean, Dolly really is the great saint of the Americas. Like, can she just be like the icon that we hold up when we talk about Southern people? Because as somebody who is Southern, like I think about people like Dolly. Like she's that person that I aspire to be. Like large breasts, wonderful nails, and everything. Oh God, the wigs, honey, the wigs.
I don't know if you saw, like, when this new round of ghost stuff started coming up for you. Like, the first one that came up of that woman with the gray hair, under it I said, "Why did she take your face?"
I had a freak out last night because being the smart person that I am, I did not read the video description, and they put a new video up on their channel that is just hauntingly gorgeous. And I thought that there was an event going on over at Spotify. And I'm like, why is Spotify not showing this to me? Do I have to pay? Do I need to have a Spotify subscription? I will do it. What do I have to do? And it turns out that they were just like, oh, yeah, before the album came out, we held a competition in Sweden with Spotify, and 50 people got to come to the chapel we record our videos in and listen to the album. And I was like, oh, that's all it was? Okay. But still, where's the whole video? Like, I need more more pentagrams and really scary nuns in my life.
You went full Veruca.
I did. Well, I have a problem. Like, okay, I love this band a little too much. Like, I literally bought the LP and I don't even have a record player because I wanted the art book that came with it. And now I want to get a record player just so I can play the record that I have that I can't play because, yes, is problem.
Is problem.
Hello, Spence. Welcome back.
Well, welcome back. Um, I did see there's a post floating around about the Russian space station people um are wearing Ukraine colors.
Ooh, that's not good. I mean, it is good, but not for them. I mean, ooh, that's. I mean, the last time I felt like this about somebody being up on a space station was when I can't remember his name, but he was up in I think it was it still Mir or was it the ISS at that point? I don't remember. Whichever space station we actually had up there at the time when the Soviet Union fell, and so he literally had no country
Mm.
because they didn't know if they were even going to send anybody to come up and get him because everything was kind of chaos down here, and he's just like, "But hello,
I will die if you do not come get me.
hello, can I please come back?" And there's a wonderful, wonderful song about him called "The Man Without a Country," and yeah, it's long story short, he got home eventually, but like it was a whole thing because like, what do you do about people in space when their country no longer exists?
Yeah, seriously. Oh, Spence, why are you tired from tomorrow? I don't know what's going on for you tomorrow. I'm hoping to sleep the sleep of the dead tonight so that I can function tomorrow. I think part of it is the storminess that's coming through, so it's dark. It's been dark all day, but I also got asked for sleep last night.
Yeah, all I know for tomorrow is that it's the equinox.
Oh, oh, the start of the equinox, yeah.
Hmm.
Oh, Pizza Demon's party is tomorrow.
Ooh, yes, totally.
Yes. Child birthday parties are exhausting.
See, the great thing for my mom, at least, about all that is I hate people and I've always hated people. So my birthdays were just like, so help me God, if you have anybody ever sing in my presence, there will be a tantrum, there will be violence. Something will get broken. Just leave me alone. It's fine. Like, even since I was like a little child, like, I'm just like, no, I am not having any of this. Why are you inviting people over? Okay, fine, we can have a cake. That's fine. Why are you singing at me? Like, no,
So
stop.
that line just brought another a song to my head. Ever since I was a little boy, dressing up has always been my greatest joy.
But when it's time to be discreet, there's one thing you just can't beat. Like the
And that's a
trash.
strapless, backless, classical little black dress.
Oh, that movie is such a trash fire, and I love it.
Oh my god, it is.
It was just, I think last week I brought up Shock Treatment. It was either last week or week before last. I brought Shock Treatment up on one of my streams, and somebody was like, "There's a sequel to Rocky Horror." I'm like, "Oh,
Yes.
okay. We're diverting from everything we're doing, and this is all we're talking about now." Okay, let me explain what happened. Because it's not going to be made worse through spoilers, because there's no way to spoil a movie that has no plot. So let me explain this to you.
Seducer!
It's so
And who
good.
are you, sir? Your twin brother and your accuser.
Oh, I just love that Brad has an evil twin brother named Farley Flavors. Like, his name is Farley Flavors. Like, this is the greatest film ever made. I love it. It's so bad. It's so bad. Oh
Oh, Spence,
no.
that sounds like a hot mess. I am sorry you have to brave the trenches of family hell tomorrow. Thank you, Nikki. Y'all are weird. Please don't change your weirdness. We love it. Thank you.
See, my solution to my family hell was my sister burned it all down for me. Like, she realized why I didn't like being around them and like gathered them all in a secret meeting that I was not told about or informed about until after it had happened, where she berated them for being transphobic, homophobic monsters, and told them if they ever made me feel bad again, she would burn their houses down with them locked inside. And I'm just like, I love you, sister. I love you too, sister. And their solution was, we will just never talk to Charlie again. And I'm like, this is even better. Like, yes. Yes. You
if you
actually fixed the problem.
if your family decides not talking to you ever again is the solution to not belittling you ever again, like if they don't know any way to speak to you other than that, yeah, it's good for them to not be there.
Yes, it's been wonderful. It's been wonderful. I mean, the only bad part is I live down the street from one of my cousins who every now and then has shootouts with his ex girlfriends because I don't know what he does, but all of his relationships end with them shooting at his house. That is not healthy.
In the ghetto.
I mean, it is remarkable to me that he is still alive because, again, his breakups end with them shooting at his house. But, is what is.
All right. Shall we do sprint number two?
Sure.
Sure.
Yes, doctor.
You got my Audrey. Sure.
Sure. Yes, doctor. Sure, doctor.
Although, with our voices
Oh, yeah.
so deep, we sound less like Audrey and more like Harley Quinn.
See, I just like to think that I am going to mature into a wonderful B. Arthur type. That's what I tell myself so that I can cope with my own vocal dysphoria. I just need to
True.
get a little bit more Harvey in there, and just mature into the B. Arthur that I was always intended to be.
Hey, Raven. What the fuck did I walk in on?
Everything of all people, are you not familiar with the mess that is us?
Yeah, Raven, you played VTM with me. You know I'm a weirdo. Oh, CB can't stay. Internet crapped out. I'm sorry.
Oh no, stupid new apartment.
We are starting a sprint, so be on. I don't know what I was gonna tell you to be doing. I was going to tell you how to live your lives. How about we just sprint in three,
Oh, if you're not
two?
going to tell people how to live their lives, I will. Stop caring what people think about you. Stop caring what terrible things are going on around you, and just smile, bitches. Let's do this. Go.
Bejas. Smile, Bejas.
Smile, because smile.
All right, in three, two, one, go. All right. That is another sprint done. What the hell?
Hubby's on the way home.
Dun dun dun. Are you in trouble?
No, well, probably, but not for anything important.
Are you getting spankings?
Unfortunately, no.
Oh,
I can hope.
oh, I have a question, but I think it's more of a Chloe question.
Uh oh. I don't know if I'm supposed to say I volunteer as tribute on that note, but I mean, I am the one that's here.
It is about erotic fiction and what you post or publish or submit or whatever. Um, and it's about like putting fetishes and kinks and stuff out. The question is, does it feel weird if you throw some of your own out? Like, does it make you feel vulnerable?
I can speak more generally to this issue. I feel that almost all of my writing makes me feel overly vulnerable because I don't like spending times with things and people that I'm not interested in. So, in some way, shape, or form, I have to have some connection to the characters in the story that I'm telling. Um, I am working on what is either going to be the cutest, sweetest vampire romance of all time or the most blood drenched filth fest that has ever been written, depending on how comfortable I feel with which version.
Now, is this the trashy vampires
Yes.
or?
Yes, because as I have discussed on my streams a couple times, and on this stream a couple times, it feels odd writing the naughties in such a way that addresses things like kink. Because at the one like what you're saying, like how much do you? Because personally, I feel like in some ways you're always revealing a little bit about yourself and how you write
Mhm.
something, but at the same time, it's like how open do you really want to be with the world? Like, how much is the world allowed to know about me?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, how much of your private self do you let the world see?
And I feel like this gets even more complex when dealing, especially with questions of kink, because this has been an issue for my vampire story, in that consent is always a good thing. This is something that is definitely going to be included in the story because we've learned that it is straight cis kryptonite, and I can keep away a lot of the people that I really don't want anywhere near my fiction, while like making it very like consent forward, and
Oh yeah,
I'm here for that. Um,
I'd
but
say my first sex scene in this was very consent forward, but now that I'm thinking about it, it's the second, and the first was my main character realizing that he was doing something without consent and being horrified and stopping.
because as far as kink and fiction goes, I think the biggest problem that a lot of fiction has is it is either written for people who are already in the community and thus understand the unwritten and unspoken rules of the community,
Mhm.
because every community does have its own rules of how it operates and how things work. Like, there is a very, like, I'm sorry, Little Miss 50 Shades, but there is a difference between abuse and BDSM. Those are not
Mhm.
synonymous ideas, and that's why the kink community rejected you as strongly as they did, because you did not understand the difference between those two things. But I feel like this is where even non-queer writers start feeling the burden of queerness, in that how much do you have to explain?
Right.
Because on the one hand, you don't want to take people out of the scene and have it just all of a sudden turn into, hello, welcome to Jace's science lesson about Kink 101. But at the same time, you don't want people taking a very different understanding of what you're doing and what is going on. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
It's. I wish I had an easy answer to this, because my vampire story, one of the reasons it's either going to be super wholesome or extremely raunchy is in some of the drafts it involves. I know this is going to be shocking for vampire fiction, blood play. You know, so weird. Vampires being interested in blood, so
Good
strange.
night, Misha.
But at the same time, there are so many harmful stereotypes of this practice as far as the kink world goes, and blah 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 blah, so on and so forth. You get where I'm going.
Hmm. No, and this in the sex scene that the full sex scene that I have, there is all the consent happening, and it's not done in a stop and ask for consent sort of way. It's a I want to do this to you, and the character saying, "Oh God, yes, do that now."
Which is a way to get consent. Yes, this is
Yes.
valid. But
Like, how would you feel if I did this? And they're like, "Oh my God, you can do that."
yeah, and this is like I said, it's one of the things that we have noticed is that some of the folk, what we would not want people involved with our work, that would not understand the stuff that we're doing, they are very adverse to any conversation of consent. And there's a very good chance that simply by including that, a lot of the misunderstandings will go away.
The just showing consent without having a conversation about consent.
Yeah, just the act of consent, because masculinity has gone very toxic in so many ways, and I'm so glad it's not like, please do not think I am saying all men, because I am not saying all men. I'm just saying there is a very vocal contingent of folk that have decided that they are going to speak on behalf of all that is masculine.
Hmm.
And the hill that they have, for some reason, chosen to die on is that consent is not sexy.
That vocal group has been bandying their ways in the tabletop RPG community
Mm-hmm.
a lot.
And it's a weird thing to basically be like, yes, I think forced naughties are good. Like, I don't know who would say that, like, meaning it,
Hmm.
but they're there. They're very prominent in a lot of community spaces right now, and it's very frustrating.
Well, one of the key things in this story that I'm writing is the act of consent, just consent in general, because it is a uh, urban fantasy book, there is magic involved. There is magic that can make you do things without consent. So the questions, or not make you do things without consent, can do things with your person without you consenting.
As I have pointed out before, I don't know if it's been on the stream or not, but as somebody who actually enjoys reading grimoires, like actual historical grimoires, I find it interesting how in actual texts that claim to be teaching you how to do these things, they don't sugarcoat it. These are almost always referred to as erotic binding spells,
Hmm.
not love spells, not, you know, any of the like fluffery that tends to be added on to disguise what is going on. Like, no, this is an erotic binding. That's what's going on here. It has nothing to do with anything other than I want this person to do the naughties, whether they want to or not.
Hmm. And here is the thing that the people who are really the okay, this happens with a lot of women reading like the 50 Shades stuff that are like super into it and don't get that it's abuse. And it's the whole concept that where did the thought go?
It's hard to find thoughts when 50 Shades gets brought up because the brain just goes, I'm going to shut down now. I,
Oh, that you know, having your consent and um the thing, I don't remember the word, whatever, um removed, your agency removed in sexual acts is super hot. And the thing they don't realize is that they're fantasizing about it happening with someone they want it to happen with, which is not what happens in the real world.
Yeah, you're fantasizing about agency being removed with consent. Like that is
Hmm.
something that has already been agreed upon. And also why in the community there is this thing called safe words that's like so commonly understood by people that are not writing 50 Shades of Grey that it's become just like a phrase that we use of like if this is conversation is too much, just say the safe word. Like this is yeah.
Um, Raven says it's very ironic that there's both all men are should be this way, and then in the same breath will turn around and cry not all men when called out on the very toxic behavior they're promoting.
Because it's a lot because a lot of it, especially when dealing with kink, it's understanding the difference between how it actually demonstrates power dynamics between the people that are involved, because that is what a lot, not all, but a lot of kink actually is it's power play. It's not as much like dirty, I don't know how to phrase this, but hopefully you get what I'm saying. It's about the power dynamics that are at play in the situation. It's why you find a lot of I have a friend who is a dominatrix who works in New York, and she has a lot of like Wall Street types that are very like control freak people who like to come in once a week and be told what to do,
Hmm.
because it's the power, it's that change in the power dynamics that is the play at hand. But that is all part of the consensual relationship between these two human beings that they have already agreed to this ahead of time. And I don't I don't think people that are advocating anything else have ever been in a situation where they have had that agency limited or taken away from them and don't understand what a truly horrific and powerless experience that is, and how no, there's nothing sexy about that.
Yeah, and like I was saying, the ones that are fantasizing about it are fantasizing about it with the partner that they
With
want.
consent, too.
Yeah, and that's, like I said, not how it works in the real world.
Nope.
Someone who actually does that without consent is
A
almo-
monster.
almost always someone you would not actually give consent to.
Correct. And back on the original topic of how much of yourself do you goes into this, I think this is in the conversation that we were having earlier about how sometimes we have to be, we are the change that we want to see in society. Being able to have that frank discussion, however it needs to be had in the fiction, is sometimes the most important thing that we can do if we're comfortable with having that discussion. How honest do you feel being you can be in discussing these issues, because if you're not comfortable, I don't care how good of a writer you are, it will show up in the fiction. This is one thing I've tried to explain to people who really don't have a good relationship with some of the ideas that they're playing with in their fiction. Like, I don't write truly evil monster characters because they are not believable when I write them. I cannot for the life of me, and I consider this one of the best things about me, put myself in a headspace of a truly horrific monster person. I just can't do that. That doesn't make me better than anyone else. It just, my mind shuts down at that
Mm,
point. Like, it's just like, nope, I refuse. I refuse this thought experiment. We are not doing this. And it does that when I watch movies with characters like that in it. My brain just turns off and I'm like, did we just watch a movie? It's just how my brain do. So I have had to learn, like, when I'm writing a villain, it has to be a villain that I am comfortable writing. Because if not, oh, they're going to be such a cartoonish monstrosity that nobody's actually going to enjoy it.
yeah, and I don't know how far I'm gonna go because, you know, there are aspects that I'm of the BDSM that I'm not comfortable with. Um, not not in a way of I'm not comfortable that they exist. I'm just not comfortable participating in them.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you know, things that I would use my safe words for because no, please. Um, like for me, pain is a no. Pain is a hard no.
As somebody who has been assaulted, do not touch my neck. Ever. For
Mm,
under any circumstances. Ever. Like, the only exception might be if I'm like choking and it's part of some like weird life saving procedure that has to be done. I might be okay with it. I'm still going to be traumatized and yell at you. Be prepared.
but yeah, pain is a hard no, but restrained and drained is a hard yes.
Someone's home.
He heard restrained and drained and walked in the door.
So, just about, yeah. Hey.
Hey, we almost ended up with another cat.
What?
Well, there was a cat in the garage. And so in cat, I told him to fuck off and get the fuck out of there, which confused him, so he stopped and looked back like, who the fuck is this guy talking to me like that? Because I know cat and I know how to tell him to fuck off. Yeah, I told him, Sasha. I did.
Hi,
You gotta
Brian, you're
get
live.
So then I got out, and then I followed up in cat basically saying, I'm standing here now. I'm going to follow through if you don't actually do what I told you to. And he kind of looked back like, who are you to tell me this? And then went, oh, okay, fine. Mm, yeah, you're right. I better fuck off. And it was Also, very confused that I knew how to tell him all that in cat, and then I understood his reply in cat too. Of, oh yeah, fuck off, fuck yourself, fucker. And I was like, oh yeah, sure as I'm gonna fuck you up now. A lot of fucks. Sorry if this was a non-cussing day. I just ended that.
You are live.
Like,
Yeah, yeah. You're not child safe anymore.
so this is the
Sorry.
point where I need to like warn people he's taking over my streaming channel on Thursdays starting in April. I'm hoping I still have a streaming channel when I come back.
Okay, so since everybody put up with all that profanity, I've got a wonderful story that both of you and I think the audience would all enjoy.
Are we going wholesome or?
Oh, it's not wholesome, but I should be able to do it without any profanity.
What? What is a
sensitive ears.
non-cussing day?
Yeah. For those that find offense at the language of the working class.
I don't get me started. I'm having a day.
Oh yeah. So okay. So how to start? I'll start at the earlier beginning.
Start at the very beginning.
Bartender and server had hooked up
Again?
a couple times, on and off, but they're not now. But they had several times present beforehand. It's important knowledge to have that foreknowledge. It's part of the story. So, he comes in. He's apparently the server comes in. He apparently forgot to turn his clock back, so he shows up an hour early, and he's just in a special kind of place. And at one point, amongst many funny things, said that like he didn't know where the donut house was. This is a donut shop that's literally like
right next to our restaurant.
40 yards from the front door, like just down.
TLDR.
Yeah. Okay, TLDR. He said that pulling the plastic off of like iPhones and stuff, and off electronic devices, was more satisfying than sex. And the audience, so the guest that's in there sitting at the bar is a psychologist. She has many clients. She's practicing, psychologist. We both kind of stopped and was like, "This is fascinating. We're not going to kink shame you. We're just both now very curious, And she mentioned how maybe he needed better partners, and I just mentioned I wasn't going to kink shame him because I thought it would be funny to take it in the other direction. So several hours pass. The bartender arrives for work that the two were hooking up with. Without prompting, she brings this back up because she was kind of highlighting some of the funniest things he said of all days. So to the bartender, she recounts the tale of how earlier that day he stated that pulling the plastic off of like iPhones and stuff was more satisfying than sex, and then follows up with her opinion that he needed better partners. She had no knowledge that the two of them had sex. I had to walk. I only got about maybe 20 steps before I busted up laughing.
Is this why you're home early?
And I got a lot done today, including enjoying that. I'm like practically in tears, standing in the past, laughing my ass off. I'm sorry, I did say ass. Okay, it was almost without it. My tuchus off, and Jen's trying not to laugh, but she's trying. She would have succeeded not laughing, but I'm like in tears, and I look at her and I'm just like, man, I as a Weasley at heart, I love some mischief managed, but that was so perfect. I'm envious that I wasn't behind the orchestration of it. Like, it was so perfect, and she just like stopped laughing. We had to go outside. I was just in tears because she repeated it and said it a couple times, and it was just like really funny because no knowledge of the other two, and it was a beautiful moment. Yeah,
it's like when friend who shall not be named, so I don't incriminate her on the internet, and I were hanging out, and I was talking about how I just wanted to go around and hunt down and kill all of her exes because they were terrible people, not realizing that the other person at the table was like the only ex that she had that had not like utterly betrayed her.
Oh yeah,
and like just going on and on and on. Yeah,
yeah, and they just kept getting more and more uncomfortable, and
and then started apologizing profusely for things I didn't know about. Yeah, it was funny.
Yeah, good times. Good times.
So we were talking about kink, writing kink. So you're kind of on topic.
Yeah. Yeah. So you could maybe write about somebody who has a kink about pulling plastic off of iPhones and stuff, or bubble wrap. That would be a weird one too. A bubble wrap kink,
I'm
especially
so
if
done with you.
if they get
I'm
stuck
going to
like
send you to the
working in a
kitchen.
warehouse.
A good chef is a silent chef who's making food.
I know. This is why I'm a bad chef. Oh,
I'm a bad chef.
So bad.
so bad. Donuts, does that not count? They're just glazed donuts, but they're fresh made.
I love you, Jace. Goodbye.
They're, she had a bunch of donuts, and I did the whole, oh wow, thank you. And she's like, yeah, I'll be right back with yours. I invited myself to several dozen. I was supposed to get a pry bar, and I come back in, and I'm like, well, this is a pry bar. It's a social pry bar. It's a pry bar for people.
I love Raven's reaction. Good times, good times. Narrator. They were not, in fact, good times. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, going back to the question that I had posted, it wasn't about like how much of stances do you put forward. It's like actual kinks. Like, let's say I had the pulling plastic off of the phone kink, and I wrote characters that had that into the story, like, or like you did. How exposed would you feel putting
See,
that out there?
it depends. It really depends on person to person because I am fairly open. Like there are parts of my life that I have not shared with anybody over the interwebs or at a convention, for example. But there are stories like the pumpkin in the cup story that is not for today, y'all. I gotta be really drunk to tell that story. But and that's mainly for timing. Like I need that like drunk slur to make the timing really work. But um that I know people that are sure that I am embarrassed by this story. I find the story utterly hilarious. I think it's one of the funniest events of my life. But I understand why others would feel shame in the recounting of these events.
Hmm.
Um, so that really does revolve around you and what parts, what things you feel are going to reflect back on you in that way.
Yeah.
Garçon, alcohol to Charlie, stat.
It's a matter of how how much do I want the world to know exactly how kinky I am?
Well, I will say one thing, like even if you don't have a kink that you write about, people will assume that you do.
Yeah.
Well, I mean that's the first thing to get through your head right now. Like even if you don't share it, people just assume, well, you wrote about it, you must.
Yeah, I think part of it for me is um I don't want to get the furry reaction.
Are you talking about my group of attack furries? I love my attack furries.
No, the reaction that people get when furries discuss their kinks.
Uh,
And it's just like, "Oh my god, people just let them be. They're not hurting you."
I mean, unless you ask really nicely. But yeah, I understand what you're saying there. But yeah, I don't know.
What does the word marginalized mean? It is it means people that are not straight white men. Um
An easy way to understand this, Nikki, is anyone who is not an able-bodied, cisgendered, heterosexual white male,
mhm.
because that is the default that most fiction has had in Western society for a very long time, which is why, like, one of my favorite videos on the internet is that Nazi right now who's crying because there are women in his Star Wars, and he's literally crying because there are women and people of color in Star Wars, and why can't they just be white? And like tears, and I'm just like, yes, let me I want to just drink all of those Nazi tears. Just nom, 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 nom. Oh, so good, so good. Because
So
what
yeah,
he
marginalized is anyone who is left by the side of the road, basically,
because what he's
by
reacting
society.
to is he has been the default for so long that
Hmm.
he doesn't understand why these marginalized communities, like, women, people of color. I just can't wait till somebody tells him about Sinjir and some of the other gays of the Star
Oh
Wars
goodness.
galaxy. Like,
Yeah.
there's queer people there now. um, just need somebody to tell him that. But
Raven has to go. He says, "Damn it, I have to go shower for a masquerade ball. Have fun writing kink and drinking white supremacist tears."
they're so yummy. They taste like bitterness and joy all at the same time.
Dude. I gotta make a cocktail now.
If you can mix them together, I'm sure there's an audience for that.
Isn't that kind of what Quentin Tarantino's career was for about 5 years there?
Kink and
Oh my
biscuits.
god. You know
Yeah.
what I'm picturing?
Yeah, I think so.
It's like a you tie up a whole bunch of white supremacists over the bathtub and you go all lady bathery on it.
Yes.
No, I believe the cocktail would have to be very, very pinkish with an umbrella. And
And it would have to have aquavit in it because there's no more
aquavit.
Nordic beverage.
Yeah.
Like, there's no more beverage that just screams, oh, wow, this was made for the Aryan race
Two of
than
the other
aquavit.
ingredients would just be renamed, Nazi tears and uh,
It looks like vodka.
kink.
It tastes like black licorice with a really weird aftertaste because it's got a lot of angelica root in it.
Yeah,
No one asked for this, but it is a beverage that exists.
it does exist. Okay. I have to go do responsible
Yes.
stuff for a minute.
And strangely, the drink is also rather salty.
Yeah, that's true. Hi. I woke you up, didn't I?
Yeah,
Sorry.
I'm in a couple weeks. One of the first characters in my epic fantasy story, because each of the chapters that's coming out now is introducing a character, one of the main characters into the story, and in a couple weeks we will meet Omrith, who is paraplegic in a epic fantasy series
Hmm.
for and doesn't want magic to make his legs all better. Yes, Raven. Yes, that's how I keep myself going. But yeah, I think the biggest answer to your question is if you would not be comfortable thinking that is like, that's one of the reasons why I've made the joke so much. Like, I am ready for all of the people to assume that I am a furry, just because people are just going to assume that I am. Like, I know this. I know how the world works. Basically, like, Atwood was right. This is a story about murder radishes and magical furries. It's fine. It's fine. I'm I'm okay with that. There are worse things that I have already been called. It's fine.
There are worse things I could do
Could
than show off a kink or two.
be a white supremacist.
Yeah.
Even though the normie hood thinks I'm trashy and no good.
They're in their own personal hell anyhow.
Well, I mean, this is one of the things that gets me into a lot of trouble because I really embrace the term degenerate because it is actually a word that comes out of eugenics. and it means somebody who denigrates the purity of the race. And yes, darling, that is everything that I want to do. I am specifically born to ruin your concept of whiteness. Yes. Yes, thank you. Badge of honor. I will take it.
And the amount of self-hate there is in the eugenics is crazy.
Yes.
Yes, we must breed out all of the homosexuality. It's like no, because your default state is bisexual.
Yeah.
And you're not going to. So you're basically trying to breed out your natural instincts.
Well, I always think about white cats with blue eyes every time I think about eugenics because between them and pugs, like we've learned what eugenics leads to. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yes, they can be very pretty to look at, but they are just disease ridden monster creatures that we have cursed with existence. Like,
And and pugs are just snorting, going, "Kill me now, please."
yes. Because it takes such a collection of malformed genes to make certain things happen, and I'm just like, that's where you're that is the path that you are choosing. Like when we say diversity is our strength, that's a literal thing as a human species.
Mm-hmm.
Like the fact that we have as a species survived several genetic bottlenecks is because there's enough diversity in the gene pool that we didn't all become inbred and die out when bad things happened. One of the big bad things, we don't even know what it was. It was either climate catastrophe, something happened, but most of the human species died off.
Yeah, I have this series that I I haven't even like typed up. But it's like a multiple universe type thing, and they find one of them where Hitler won, and his successor has realized that the eugenics problem and is just like, okay, we're doing controlled diversity now. Like they have scientists upon scientists like uh mapping out who has to breed with who.
Because like it's the thing I like to point out. Like if you can eat milk, if you like dairy products, you're a mutant. That is not that no, that is not a gene that is endemic to the species. It is a gene that originated in northern Europe, where if you didn't drink the milk of your animals, you would die because you didn't have enough animals to actually kill them and make meat, and there wasn't enough time to grow a lot of vegetables. So you had to drink the milk or you died. It is a mutation that occurred and spread out from there, which is why so much of the population is lactose intolerant. And it actually is the other way around. Humans, as a species, are naturally lactose intolerant. If you are lactose tolerant, you a mutant.
Cue the X-Men theme.
Na, 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 na.
Yep. I, that particular one, yes,
Yes.
because there is no other.
Many have tried and all have failed.
Have you ever seen the posts where people put like back when Saturday morning cartoons were good, and they put up like the School for X-Men cartoon as it's like, oh god, no, you don't know what good X-Men was.
Yeah. See, I feel that about a lot of things because, like, my favorite meme that just keeps going around right now is like, does anybody remember when Batman was fun? Like, do you remember? Like, do you remember that? Like, are you old enough to remember the Paul Dini Batman series that was on TV? It was animated. It was fun. Do you remember that? It was fun.
Paul Dini. I
The
don't remember.
Batman the animated series
Oh,
that was
yeah.
on. Yeah, Paul. That was his brainchild.
That
He gave us Harley
series,
Quinn.
yeah, that series was well, it was really good, but I don't know about fun all the time. Like, that shit got deep and dark.
But it wasn't just a constant slogfest of how horrible everything is. And that
Yes.
to me is where a lot of motion pictures go wrong. Is like,
And the thing about that Batman, as opposed to any of the movie iterations afterwards, is that Batman actually had compassion.
yep,
And that's what throws everybody off. Is like, you would cry your eyes out watching that show because he had a heart.
that's one of my other favorite memes from that. Is it's just the image of him sitting on the swing set with that little girl, and it just says,
Uh-huh.
if your Batman wouldn't stop to console a crying little girl in a playground, it's not the real Batman. Like,
Mhm.
yes, because that's the thing. We are. I feel like there's this drive, especially with certain companies right now, to take action movies back to the '80s when just me dumb dumb have gun,
Yep.
which we were talking earlier about free guy before the stream started.
Uh-huh.
My favorite thing in there is a version of Ryan Reynolds that appears in this movie that is basically the Arnold Schwarzenegger '80s version of him, and he literally at one point just stands up and goes, "What do you think you're doing here? Catchphrase!" Because his catchphrase is catchphrase, and I'm so here for it. Like, it just, yes, that feels like, because it's such a regression, and the fact that they cast Taika Waititi to be the guy who's the mouthpiece of why we can't have elaborate and complex stories and things. Because have you ever seen a Taika Waititi film? I mean, they are the exact opposite of that.
uh, but and also, you look at that and it's very sad. It goes back into the thing that the one of the things I brought up before the show is that Jerry Springer is kind of, or the Jerry Springer show is basically showing us what America really is,
Yeah.
and the dumbing down of things is it's emblematic of what's going on.
Like, I'm not afraid of my soapboxes, but this is one of those times where it's so important for people to understand the only way you can maintain the power of the patriarchy that has controlled this country for so long is to keep people ignorant to it.
Hmm.
Like, I remember, I'm old enough to remember when Reagan and George Bush Senior, but especially Reagan, outlawed civics classes in the United States. Your school cannot get federal funds if you have a civics class in the US, because they found through their research that teaching people the Declaration of Independence and the various actual, like, the words that were said by the founders, led them to be more compassionate and believing that, like, we should have liberty for all.
Yeah.
Oh no, kids took the words seriously. We can't have that.
Hmm.
Don't tell them the actual words.
The thing in recent years, especially since like 2016, that has been absolutely horrifying to me. Well, one of the things that's been horrifying to me, because so much has, is the vilifying of education.
Yep.
Like, it just, I can't even conceptualize how that becomes, like, how people think that is something to an ideal. How is it ideal to embrace a lack of education?
See, we're not billionaires, so it doesn't make sense to us. No, I'm serious. I mean, if you are a billionaire and you are trying to make sure that you keep your billions of dollars, making sure that people aren't smart enough to go, wait a minute, why we keep giving them tax cuts when we can barely afford to have food on the table?
Hmm.
Like, can we have that money to have food on the table, please? Because nobody blinked when we gave $1.2 trillion to billionaires just because. But when we say, hey, it might cost $1.2 trillion to do a universal basic income to make sure people have a basic security in this country, where are we going to get that money? Where's that money going to come from?
Hmm.
Like, you could find it when the rich people were given it. Like, can't we just like rescind the tax cuts on the rich people and then give that money to the people who actually need it? Like, this doesn't seem that hard. Like, you want to know where? I just told you. Let's go. Like, it's, but
And
that
when you
requires.
try and do something like that, you get people like Mansion showing off their true colors.
Yep.
Oh no, we can't do that. We can't actually help the people.
And
That
if
would
you,
that would hurt my coal reserves.
I just want one of them $5 million bounties. I'm just saying, like, that's my new get rich quick scheme. It's like just sniffing around for Russian oligarch money.
I
I don't know
like
if you
your
saw
get
about.
I like the slip of the tongue there, the get rich queen.
Yes. Well, I have some questions about this weird golf course that went in town for absolutely no reason that nobody ever goes to. Like, I'm pretty sure that somebody parked some money there for a rainy day. I just need to find out, like, who was it? Who parked the money there? Because I could take a reward, because I do enjoy that they meant it when they were like, no, we're going for the Russian oligarchs. If you know where any Russian oligarch has hidden some money, let us know. There's a bounty. Girl, I'm going to be looking for Russian oligarch money like everywhere. Like, calling up the newspaper, like, you don't sell any papers. Where's your money coming from? Like, I need to know. Do you have an Oleg Deripaska in there? I mean, what is going on? Like, I have questions.
And so I'm not sure how well it held and how long it lasted, but there was a block on um, Russian accounts on media, and suddenly 90% of the right wing vitriol
Disappeared.
vanished.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that is telling.
Out of kindness to people, I'm not going to say the name of his channel. I'm just going to spell it. It's Nofkr. Um, one really interesting channel right now. He is a Russian YouTuber, and he has been posting about what life is actually like right now.
Hmm.
And with all the stuff that's going on, how money is like impossible to find, like, he's trying to figure out how he's going to pay for anything right now because none of the banks will give you rubles. Like, you can't get money out of the bank when you go to the bank. And he said there was one ATM machine in his region that was reported to have money in it, actual money in it. And he said there was a 5 hour wait until people
Wow,
started hearing that there was no more money in the machine.
that's scary.
This is how things change. People are seeing, oh wait, maybe the system isn't good. Problem is, as I say repeatedly, we need to be having those discussions about, okay, so what comes next?
Hmm.
What is the next thing that we do then? To me, I feel like the one thing that we could do that would fix the United States, like 100% fix us, is anybody who runs for Congress or who serves in the serves in the government. If you have a government job, you will make. I'm going to be fair. I'm going to be nice. The median income for the area that you live in. All of your other assets will be seized and held in escrow. You will not be able to. They're gone. They gone. So if you're a millionaire and you run all that money, thank you for your contributions. We're gonna put that over there in the bank over there. You can't touch it. You can't see it. It's not yours until you're gone, and you will have to survive making the median income for a person who lives in your district. You're gonna have to pay for insurance out of that. You're gonna have to pay for your childcare, your travel, your suits, your clothing, your restaurants.
I like it.
I think that would fix. I think that like that one little change would fix things so quickly. Because if you're not feeling the grind that your constituents have to go through, what motive do you have to fix it?
Hmm.
I also think we should bring something back from ancient Athens. Like when you got to go all the way back to like the first democracy to find a thing like why did we stop doing that? But in Athens, in their constitutional government that they had set up, if you were a politician who passed a law, voted for a law that was later deemed to be unconstitutional, you faced fines, serious fines. If you wrote a law that was deemed unconstitutional, those fines were doubled or tripled.
Wow.
Like, no, no, no. There's consequences for you not following the rules. Like we have established certain rules about like equal protection under the law and free speech and all this stuff, right? You had to live up to them. I think that might be interesting.
It would be. And on that note, because I couldn't even respond because my brain completely shut down.
Night, night.
Yeah,
It's
I really.
Jason's bedtime. It's been a great stream. Thanks a heap. Now it's time for Jace Maxwell to go to sleep.
Is this
There's a part.
bird?
What was that?
He said, "Is this your bird?"
My bird?
It's how that song ends in Shock Treatment.
Oh.
It's my favorite. Like, why did that happen? Because it starts with Betty reading "Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner," and then we go to the lullaby song, and at the very end of it, the security guard holds up a dead albatross and goes, "Pardon me, is this your bird?" And she screams
Mhm.
and runs out of the room.
Uh,
Non sequitur theater. I love that movie. It's so bad.
I think the best line from that movie is from break the song Breaking Out. You can say that you choose to be in my shoes, but look what it did to me.
Yeah,
It's like, oh, that that spoke to me so much as a young gay guy.
yeah. Jace's schedule is backwards to ours, Nikki. He gets up frightfully early.
Yep. Like I'm probably gonna be awake just after midnight.
And now I have a Judas Priest song stuck in my head. Living after midnight.
My brain just changed that to a Junji Priest,
Hey, whatever gets you through the night.
which would be both metal and horrific at the same
Yes.
time. All right, I am going to call this one. It has been a good week. Hopefully, we will have people back next week. Well, maybe not because Chloe is moving, so she might not be here next week.
And starting next week on the streams on my Twitch channel, we're going to be doing a lot more talks about things because we had a long talk about that last night on stream and decided, maybe we should just discuss things.
As we found out from my channel, we like to discuss things,
Uh-huh.
even when we're supposed to be sprinting. All right. Catch y'all next week. Good damn bye.
Bye.